brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Here we are, Mr. Patrick. A nice cup of tea and 2 Popeye biscuits. Mr. Patrick.
You know, Nanny, this really is very good stuff.
What is it you're reading?
My latest book, Nanny. You know, I simply cannot wait for the reviews after its publication on the 23rd.
Hello, AC.
Oh, the girls are home now. Hello, dear. Just in nice time for tea.
Hello, Nanny. Hello, Uncle.
Hello, dear. Had a nice day?
Well, it wasn't more boring than yesterday. Oh, God, when is anything ever gonna happen to me? Where is everyone?
Oh, hello, Liz. Had a good day?
You're home, Uncle.
Is that why she went out again?
No, she's gone to get this Mr. Dishy.
Oh, who's Mr. Dishy?
Nico. He wants to take her to a log cabin in the snowy mountains for a week, so she's brought him home so he can ask your permission.
What sort of a Dishy is he?
Tasty. Hot. Whew.
You make him sound like a bowl of curry.
We always said it was a good job he wasn't an Eskimo. He'd melt the hut every night.
How would he do that, dear?
Well, to start with, Nanny...
Quite.
But he's so beautiful, Uncle. What do you know, Nico, Nanny? The first time you met him, you said how dishy he was.
Well, I've never met a Nico in my life.
The dark boy who works in the Greek bakery in High Street.
Oh, him. Oh, yes, I do know who you mean now. But I never said he was dishy. Did I?
You said he looked like a young Robert Taylor, whoever he was.
Quite.
What, I just thought he seemed quite a nice young man.
And Liz knew this Greek dish at uni, did she?
Well, only for one term. Then he left. But she knows him by reputation, of course. All the girls do.
And when did this young Robert Taylor and Elizabeth form their latest liaison?
Last night at the disco. Well, Liz didn't think he'd remember her because he was pretty drunk. But he did. Liz was over the moon.
Patrick, I'd like you to meet a very old friend of mine, Nico. This is my Uncle Patrick, Nico.
Very pleased to meet you, sir.
I do.
I've brought Nico home to meet you, Uncle, because last night I was having a quiet cup of tea with Nico's parents, and they told me that Nico was joining a group of young people who are renting 2 skiing cabins up in the mountains. Oh, the boys in one, the girls in the other. Well, Nico's parents are very strict. They wouldn't allow him to go if there was the slightest chance that... Well, your parents are very respectable, aren't they, Nico?
Oh, yes.
So I brought Nico home to meet you, Uncle, because he wondered if on Friday...
No, absolutely out of the question. I've heard all about it, and I certainly will not allow it.
Oh, you rotten little cat. You've told him already. You purposely put the dirt in first because Nico didn't ask you to go with him. Me? Well, you know how prejudiced Uncle can be, especially about people who don't speak English from birth. And you deliberately messed it up for me. Oh, you evil little hag, I'm gonna kill you! Kill you, devious troublemaker, you! Jealousy! I'm here!
Yes, I'm sorry, Nico. I couldn't possibly allow it. I don't like the signs, I'm afraid. I mean, you've only been in the house 5 minutes and you've already caused a terrible strife. No, nothing personal.
But I will look after her as if she were my own sister, Mr. Glover. My parents would not allow me to ask you for permission if they did not think I could be trusted to behave myself properly with her, sir.
And Nico's parents are very respectable, Mr. Patrick.
Yes, I'm sure, Nanny. Yes.
Anyway, Nico, I'm sure Mr. Glover will allow you ample opportunity to state your case. Won't you, Mr. Patrick?
Well, yes, I...
You always give everyone a fair hearing.
Well, I hope I do, Nanny.
Oh, you do, Mr. Patrick. You are a very fair person.
Oh, thank you, Nanny.
Sit down, Nico.
Thank you, Nanny. Well, Nico... Don't you think you ought to go and see how the girls are getting on, Nanny?
Oh, I'll just give them another 5 minutes to calm down.
Yes, sir.
I understand that you want to take my niece up to the snowy mountains for a week.
Yes, sir. To make up a party of 5 girls and 5 boys in 2 separate log cabins. It's part of the New South Wales holiday camp for the youth scheme, supervised by a state warden.
Well,
I must say it sounds much better than the way Susan told it.
if you wouldn't mind, Nan. Now, tell me a bit about yourself, Nico. I understand you've recently left university.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And, have you had an interview for a job?
No, sir.
Uh-huh. Unemployed.
He works in his father's bakery.
I see. Thank you, Nanny. Yeah. And what are your prospects?
One day he'll take over the shop.
Have you had any contagious diseases?
Oh, no, sir. Only what you call it in English, the pox.
The pox? And you want to take my niece up to a log cabin for a wee? I wouldn't hear of it. And I will thank you to leave this house straight away.
The pox with the spots, sir.
No details, please.
What you get from the birdies that can't fly?
The birdies are coming.
Chicken pox.
Yes, chicken pox.
Oh, well, we all get chicken pox when we're children. Mr. Glover had it twice.
It is not me who is on trial, Nanny.
Of course not, Mr. Patrick. Sit down, Nico.
Well, Nico, let us talk about girls.
I like them very much, sir.
Aha.
Is that wrong, sir?
I am doing the questioning.
I mean, I'm particularly fond of Australian girls.
Uh-huh. Go on.
Because in a village where I lived, you could not be alone with a girl unless you were chaperoned. If they found you alone with a girl, you had to marry her. That is why I like it here.
I see. And I suppose with your dark Mediterranean looks, you are pretty successful with Australian girls, eh? I dare say that in your bakery shop, you look upon all Australian girls as just another bun in the oven.
No, sir. Well, they make the Greek pastries. The ones
I better go and see to the girls.
Well, it's been very nice to meet you, Nico. I think we've covered everything.
Well, thank you, sir.
Yes, it's been a great pleasure.
Then I can take Liz for a week up to the mountains.
I wouldn't let you take Liz for 5 minutes behind that potted plant.
But Nico is one of the kindest and sweetest boys, Uncle. I'm sure you're misjudging him.
Elizabeth, please remember, I have lived longer than you have.
And I suppose that's Nico's fault, too.
No, it's not a question of fault.
I'm never going to speak to you again. I'll never forgive you for this.
Don't be silly. It was not Sue's fault. I make up my own mind about people. And the moment I saw Nico's ears, I knew that I couldn't trust him.
His ears? Oh, Uncle, that's ridiculous.
Well, what's wrong with his ears?
They have a funny shape, Nanny. It's been a Greek characteristic over the centuries, you know. Of course, not all Greeks have them, but those that do, well, it's a sure sign.
Of what?
Criminal tendencies, Nanny. It's all to do with this bit here. In olden days, they were known as Lesbos lobes. Socrates had them, and we all know what happened to him.
Archimedes, then. He was Greek and he did a lot.
All he did was to jump out of a bath and run stark naked through the Acropolis shouting, "I've got it."
But surely that was Pythagoras, and he shouted, "I found it."
Or whether he'd found it or got it, Nanny, he can keep it. No, these Greeks have got a great deal to answer for. They're a very rum lot, the Greeks. Do you know that in Greece, the men actually dance with each other? And not just two of them, like normal people. No, a whole line of them with their arms round each other.
But that's got nothing to do with Nico.
Darling, it's the background in which they've been brought up. But I gave him a fair hearing now, didn't I, Nanny?
Well...
And I came to the conclusion, regretfully, that I could not allow it. No. These Greeks have got a lot to answer for.
But Nico isn't Greek, he's Italian.
How can he be Italian when his father is a Greek baker?
His father's Italian, too. He bought the shop from a Greek last year. Nico's family are all Italians.
Well, Greek, Italian, what's the difference? They're all tarred with the same brush. I mean, look at Mussolini. Nanny! I've got a letter from Roger.
Roger Moore?
Yeah, no. Roger Larkin, my godson.
Gracious, has he finally replied to you?
He says the reason he hasn't replied before was that he's been working in the outback and only just returned to Sydney. Isn't that wonderful, Nanny?
Yes, you must be thrilled, Mr. Patrick.
This is the Roger I told you about, Liz. I looked after him for 2 years when he was just a little boy.
He was an orphan. His parents had been friends of your Uncle Patrick's.
And then he came to live in Australia with his aunt 15 years ago, and I've never seen him since. Yeah, Nanny, look, he says, I'm arriving in the yacht at Spit Marina at noon on Friday. That's today. And I can't wait to see you and Nanny after all these years.
Oh, Mr. Patrick, isn't it exciting?
Yes.
Do you remember when we waved him goodbye at Southampton? Standing behind the rail in his little short trousers?
Yes.
And he spilt his orange drink in your lap?
Yes.
And everyone thought you'd had a little accident. Oh, he was such a lovely boy.
Do you know, I knew even then, Nanny, when he was only 10 that he'd grow up to be a fine man. Now then, Elizabeth, if Roger had wanted to take you up to the Snowy, I wouldn't have had the least objection. Yeah, look, Nanny, he says he's still not married and he owns 20,000 acres of mining territory in Queensland. We must ask him to lunch.
I'll make a rhubarb pie.
Oh, dear. Oh, I wonder whether that...
Mr. Patrick, what about that?
Roger!
Uncle Patrick!
Roger! It is Nanny! There you are, Elizabeth. Isn't he everything that I said? I always knew he'd grow up to be a fine young man. Wouldn't it be wonderful if you and he could make a life together? Come on, Nanny.
Hey, tie for it. Look after that,
Roger, my dear
Uncle Patrick, how nice it is to see you.
Elizabeth! Susan, hurry up! Oh.
Hi!
Hi, Roger! Uncle Patrick was right. He's really dishy.
I think he's a creep.
Hi, Roger!
You look so well. So, you've come to Sydney to raise $50,000.
Oh, no, Uncle. I've already been offered it from 4 different sources.
Oh.
I'm here to decide which lot I'll take. But it's only money. It doesn't mean anything when compared with such things as a full life, good health, a sense of honour and achievement.
Oh, you know, I'm so proud of you. I really am, Roger. And so proud to feel that you think it was I who moulded your character.
Oh, Uncle Patrick, my 3 years with you gave me the principles which have made me what I am today. And that's why I want you to share in my success.
What?
By giving you 10,000 shares in my business.
What?
Now, if shares aren't your cup of tea, you can trade this document in for $10,000 cash any day you like. With my grateful thanks.
Roger, I wouldn't hear of it. Good Lord. Of course I want to share in your success, but not as a gift. No, no. I will prove my faith in you by investing in the open market first thing on Monday morning.
Oh, as you wish, Uncle. As you wish. But I will tell you what I'll do.
What's that?
These shares, now valued at $10,000,
Yeah.
cost me $3,000 2 years ago. On the toss of a coin, you can have them for $3,000 or take them as a gift. What do you say?
Oh, well, that's different, isn't it?
Heads or tails?
Heads.
Heads are a gift. Tails, I'll let you have them for $3,000. Whew.
Oh.
Tails. Oh, dear. Look, Uncle...
No, I wouldn't hear of it. No. It'll prove my faith in you. Sue, dear, would you please go and get my checkbook for me? Thank you, sir. Oh, Roger, you know you really are such a credit to me.
Oh, Uncle, I owe everything to you.
Oh.
You were the one who guided me at my most impressionable age. Oh, I've never forgotten all the wonderful things you said to me. To thine own self be true. Give each man your ear, but few your tongue. Oh, wonderful stuff.
Oh, darling, would you answer the door for me? Thank
What's
you.
the date today? Anybody know the
17.
Excuse me, who did you...
Aha! So that's where you got to, you little monkey. Oh, I knew he'd found another lady friend the minute I knew he'd pinched me yacht. Don't worry, dear. He always makes a beeline for the old ones like us because he knows we're past our best days and can't resist the little rascal. How much did you give him? Oh, you little varlet, you. Oh, $3,000, eh, Mrs. Oh, my little villain hasn't lost his touch, I see. You keep out of it.
I beg your
Well, he's not for sale. And even if he was, it'd cost you a lot more than $3,000. $50,000 and more he's taken out of me. Oh, but what the hell? Why have I worked 27 years in me nightclub, eh? You got to spend your loot on something, haven't you? Come on, you little girl.
Just a moment. Please tell me what is going on. Nanny!
I'll give you $3,000.
No, really.
When you wash that tan off, we'll go home.
Mr. Patrick, ought we to do something?
Go on. Inside. Leave everything to me.
P. Glover,
That's correct, madam. Patrick Glover. I don't think we've had the pleasure.
you're not the Patrick Glover.
Yes, I am, actually.
Roger's godfather from England.
I have that privilege.
So you're the swine that ruined that wonderful boy. His head with criminal ideas.
Criminal ideas?
I've been wanting to get my hands on you for years.
How dare you.
Every time that poor boy come up before the court, he told him how you'd corrupted him with your get-rich-quick ideas, you smart aleck Pom.
How dare
Oh,
you.
he told the court that the first one got 2 years for fraud.
2
but
years
they
for
wouldn't believe him. Oh, no. But I did. I've always believed him. You turned him into a criminal. Yeah, he told them that when he got 3 years for embezzlement. And still they wouldn't believe him. But I did, you slippery, smooth-talking, double-crossing corrupter. Oh, but it's not your fault, you lovely boy. Now come on home, back behind the bar where you belong, where I can keep an eye on you. Oh, it's not your fault, you're such a pretty boy. Better luck next time, sister. And if you want another one like this one, you better go down to Coleroy Beach and pick one up for yourself. That's where I found him. Now, come on home, Rog. Oh, what am I going to do with you, you naughty gigolo?
Just come through this way, Nico. Sit down, please. Elizabeth, I want to apologize to you. This morning, I experienced the most mortifying moment of my life when I realized that an opinion that I had formed of a young man 15 years ago was absolutely and totally wrong. I now see that your opinion of Nico's character was correct, and that I am just a silly old fool who knows nothing about anything. I have therefore told Nico that not only may he take you up to the Snowy for a week, but that he may borrow your father's car, and I have also given him $100 for expenses.
Oh, Uncle, you're fantastic. You're a truly big person, big enough to admit your mistakes. And only the biggest man can afford to admit his mistakes to lesser people.
Elizabeth, you are a better judge of character than I am.
It's not in there. Mr. Patrick, I can't find your wallet.
Oh, don't worry about it, Nanny. It'll turn up sooner or later.
Oh, can I have one of the Sunday papers, please, Uncle?
Only if you turn straight to the review page and read the review of my latest book. There you are, one for you, Nanny. One for you, Sue.
Thank you.
Now, the Telegraph says... Another racy yarn from the fluent pen of Patrick Glover.
The Sunday says Mr. Glover's latest book will not disappoint his fans.
How nice for them.
The Sun Herald says Mr. Glover's book is a superbly arranged intellectual thriller.
How discerning these Australian critics are. Oh, what a lovely way to start a Sunday.
Yes, and we've more treats later.
Huh?
Elizabeth returns home today.
Do you know, Nanny? Do you know, I haven't had a moment's unease since the day they left.
Oh, I'm sure she's had a wonderful time. They tell me the skiing conditions in the Snowy are excellent. Elizabeth will have been out on the piste every day.
I beg your pardon, Nanny.
The piste, where they beat down the snow to make a firm surface.
Oh, that piece.
Oh, my God.
What is it, Nanny?
Oh, please let it not be true.
Nanny, is it bad news?
Terrible, Mr. Patrick.
A disaster?
Yes.
Not another earthquake in America.
Far worse.
I've had a bad review.
Not about your book, about you personally.
Me?
Yes. It says, author pleads guilty to 72 offences.
What?
Author Patrick Glover appeared at Coonambone Court on Friday, charged with vandalising a public convenience in a Coonambone marketplace. And there's a photo of you, Mr. Patrick, coming out of the court with a coat over your head.
It's all in the Sunday, too. And here's a picture of you going into court with your hand over your face.
With my hand over my... That's not me. That's Nico.
Police gave evidence that they saw the accused breaking the windows of a ladies' convenience in Marketplace. They gave chase, but the accused ran off and leapt into a car and drove away at speed. The police finally apprehended the accused by ramming the car.
The car.
Look at that!
Oh, my God. Your brother's car, my father's car, Jeffrey's car.
The accused identified himself as Patrick Glover, an author, producing a driving licence from his wallet as proof.
Wallet.
When the accused was asked by the magistrate why he had vandalised a total of 72 toilets...
72 toilets?
that week...
72 in a week?
Mr. Glover replied that he was researching his new book.
Oh, my God.
Mr. Glover was fined $750 and was ordered to pay within 14 days.
But what about Elizabeth?
Oh, my God.
That'll be reporters.
Oh, Mr. Patrick, don't leave me. Come round,
No,
please.
Nanny, I can't.
I can't deal with it. Elizabeth, what happened? Are you all right?
Oh, yes, Nanny. I had a great week. Nico was fantastic.
Where have you been?
The Snowy.
But, Elizabeth, tell me what happened. I mean, what has that terrible Nico done to me? Do you realise that I am in all the Sunday papers with my head covered? I am ruined.
Oh, dear.
Well, what happened? Tell me what happened.
The truth?
No, I couldn't face it. Tell me a pack of lies. Tell me I'm dreaming.
You better tell the truth, dear. It's best.
Well, the first day we left here, we drove to this motel. Oh, Nico was very nice to me, Uncle. We had separate rooms, of course. But in the morning, he'd gone with Dad's car.
He abandoned you? Oh, my poor child.
Where did you go?
I hitched a lift back to Sydney and spent the week with Fiona.
Fiona Sims up the road?
Yes. Of course, I couldn't go out in case you saw me, but it was great weather, so I spent the week beside her pool.
You have spent a week in a swimming pool while that Greek-Italian bandit has been vandalising toilets all over Australia?
Yes.
Oh, my God.
But why didn't you come home?
Because Uncle had warned me about Nico. And as you always say, Uncle, it's a sign of maturity to be able to live with your mistakes. I decided to live with mine and not bother you with it.
Oh, dear.
Oh, Nico, what have you done to me? For the first time in my life, I was so right about someone. And I had to go and change my bloody mind.